Captain America Civil War is directed by the Russo brothers and stars an enormous cast that I'm not going to attempt to name off. It's basically every single Marvel superhero who's appeared in these movies in the past years except for the Guardians of the Galaxy. They're all in this movie, with the addition of Black Panther and Spider-Man. And basically, the plot of this movie is a sequel to Captain America the Winter Soldier and Avengers Age of Ultron kind of into one. Basically, after all the collateral damage and stuff that happened in Avengers Age of Ultron, the governments of the world are not happy with the Avengers. They don't want them to be independent anymore, so they pass this thing called the Sokovia Accords, which basically is the Superhero Registration Act from the comics, where the Avengers have to be a subsidiary of government and can only interfere when they want them to. And Tony Stark is for this idea, given a lot of the stuff that he's been through. Steve Rogers, Captain America, is against it. And so, the Avengers kind of pick a side and fight, but there's a lot more than just that, because this is also a sequel to Winter Soldier, as I just explained, where Bucky Barnes, the Winter Soldier, he's on the run, and he's in a really bad place, so Steve Rogers has to find him and try and make things better for him, because he was brainwashed by Hydra and all that stuff, and everyone is after him. So, and what we get is one of the best superhero movies ever made, if not one of my favorite experiences in a theater ever. This movie was so good, I am not even exaggerating one bit. I had so much fun with this movie. It's such a well-made, grounded in reality, just dark, gritty, character-driven spectacle that begs to be one of the best superhero movies ever made, and regarded as such. For one, I think every single one of the heroes does a great job in this movie. Chris Evans steals the show as Captain America. He's awesome. You know, we know that at this point, but his chemistry with Bucky Barnes is great, and you really see it and you want them to succeed. And all the fighting stuff that goes on, unlike Batman v Superman earlier this year, where the reason for the fight was stupid and forced, you understand why they're going to fight this time. It's not just, we need to have civil war, so we'll just have them fight. No. You understand why they're going to fight. And the fighting, it's brutal. Like, it's not just civil disagreement, it's civil war. They are out for each other's blood. And especially things that are revealed in this movie, it gives them motivation. You know why they're going after each other. It works well. And some of the best action ever put to film. I'm not even exaggerating. It is so well filmed. It is so well made. It literally just looks so good. It's shaky a little bit, but it's kind of like the Bourne Ultimatum, where you can still tell what's going on, and it sort of adds to the experience, so I don't mind it. And that one scene that they tease in the trailers a lot at the airport, where all the Avengers just coming at each other, ready to fight, it is such a good scene. I can't explain it. It was just like, I could feel my heart pounding, and like, yes, this is so good. And, you know, it helps to actually have a good reason to fight, which makes everything great. Because although I enjoyed Avengers Age of Ultron a lot, looking back, it's not the best film ever, because, you know, a lot of that is focused on the spectacle and the action. There's no really thought of, like, you know, what's going to happen because of all this destruction. This one, you know, every time the Avengers fight or stuff blows up, they acknowledge, people died, you guys messed up. Like, how do you feel about that? And you understand it. And I love, you know, the movie's advertised with a lot of Team Cap, Team Iron Man stuff. When you go into the movie, it's kind of hard to pick a side, if not stick with it, because I really saw both sides of their thought process. I really understood why both sides had their motivations, and I really liked that. And as for other people in the movie that I haven't talked about yet, there's Crossbones in the very little bit of the movie. He's not really advertised as much, and he's actually a character from the Winter Soldier, just in the Crossbones armor. He's not in the movie very often, or very much at all, but I don't really care that much because he doesn't really do that much. You know, it's kind of like in The Amazing Spider-Man 2 with Rhino. If they just didn't call him Crossbones, or if they didn't call him Rhino, no one would complain. So that's what problem I don't have with that movie, nor this one. But speaking of Spider-Man, we have Tom Holland as Spider-Man in this movie, and he is so good. I think this might be the best Spider-Man we've ever had. Like, I know it's like with just the half-hour of screen time he has in this movie compared to the 5 films we have, I really think that Tom Holland is the best Spider-Man. You understand his motivation, like we said before, and his backstory is explained really well. It's not overly drawn out. And him in action is so great. He has the quips and the awesome feel of action that Andrew Garfield had. And as Peter Parker, he's kind of this dorky, nerdy kid who's just like, I want to do good. I'm not sure how well I can, but I can do it that Tobey Maguire had. He has the best of both worlds in my feel, and I think he's going to be great in Spider-Man Homecoming. I'm so excited for that. And there's also Chadwick Boseman's Black Panther. Great character, loved him. He was so amazing, the action scenes, and such a great character who also had great motivation for what he did. He was awesome. And of course, the standalone Black Panther film I'm so excited for also. Ryan Coogler is going to direct that one. He directed Fruitvale Station and Creed. Great films. And, you know, speaking of that, I also think it's pretty interesting that this film doesn't do much to set up the sequels that Age of Ultron did. This film just focuses on being a good movie, and I like that. I like that it doesn't waste time to set up the sequels. Not even the post-credit scenes do that much. So, yeah, that's something I appreciate about this movie, because I'm getting sick of movies doing that. Batman v Superman, Fantastic Four, sorry, really bad cough. Point is, this movie is so good. And I also want to point out how in the scenes where there's no action, there's no talking, I'm still fully invested. The writing for this movie is so good. I want to see these characters interact and talk to each other and get political. I'm interested in that stuff. I'm interested in the politics of the Avengers. It's weird, but it works out so well. And ultimately, there's not a whole lot bad I can think about when it comes to this movie. It's well written, it's well acted, the action is some of the best ever put to film, not just in a superhero movie, but I'd say even ever put to film. It's so good, and my eyes were glued to the screen the whole time. And I was in an IMAX theater on the very front row, looking up the whole time. That's how much I wanted to see this movie, that's how much I didn't care, and how much I loved it. It didn't even bother me. Captain America Civil War is one of the best superhero films ever made, in my opinion. And it might just be the best Marvel film, like, ever. I'm not even kidding. Like, I love Deadpool earlier this year. I like this film more than Deadpool. I love this film so much, and I contemplated about giving it the grade I'm about to give it, but I honestly don't think I have much of a problem, as I have so few flaws with this film, a couple narrative points, and maybe the villain. The villain, a lot of people have argued he's kind of just a weakling, he's just kind of there, and he's kind of forced. I actually really kind of liked him, the Daniel Bruhl's villain. He was sort of like the Joker meets what Lex Luthor was supposed to be in Batman v Superman. That's kind of what he is, kind of, and I feel like he worked, and I liked his story, and he has good motivation. You know, you can kind of complain about him, I won't mind that much, but I personally liked him, and, you know, that's really the only kind of complaint I can muster about this film. It's excellent. It's some of the best action ever made, and I definitely can see this being rewatchable. Because rewatching Age of Ultron, I kind of like, yeah, not as good. This one, I'm going to rewatch, and I'm going to love it. Because this movie, so good. It's the best of the Captain America films and all the Marvel movies, in my humble opinion. Captain America Civil War gets 100%. I know I sound like the biggest fanboy ever right now. I haven't read a Marvel comic, like, I don't think ever. I'm just a fan of good movies. I'm just a fan of films like these. I love this movie. I promise I'm not biased, like, at all. And I can just say, without any bias, this is my favorite experience in a theater this year, and maybe my favorite film of the year so far. We'll have to see. Point is, go check out Captain America Civil War. I know you probably will, because everyone sees these Marvel movies. Literally everyone sees them. And I can say it's kind of funny that a film like this, with characters that are not as well known or as mainstream 10 years ago than Batman and Superman, made a film that is so much infinitely better than Batman v Superman. This is kind of definitive proof that the DC Extended Universe is not ever going to be as good as the Marvel Cinematic Universe unless they really just are like, okay, forget these mistakes, we need to try hard. Sorry, DC fanboys, but that's just how the world works. I'm sorry, I'll always love your Dark Knight trilogy. There's that. But Marvel, man, Marvel's kind of on top of the world at this point. So, I hope you guys enjoyed this movie, and I hope you enjoyed watching my review, and I'm going to start engaging my audience a little bit, so tell me what you thought of this movie. Did you like it as much as me? Do you think it's one of the better comic book films ever? Is it your favorite Marvel film? What are your thoughts on it? And if you have anything to say about me, make sure you tell me, or just comments, because I like seeing people comment. And yeah, so thank you all for watching this video, and I'll see you all next time. Adios.